All I know is that nobody voted for Kamala. They just said, okay, you're it. They did this in 2016. Bernie Sanders, he was the guy that got all the votes in the primary. Like, we just give it to Hillary. Look what happened in L.A. The chief of the fire department, she put this out on her website for the L.A. Fire Department. A gay man, asked her, would you be able to carry my husband out in case of a fire? And she said, well, if I have to carry your husband out, he got himself in a bad spot. It was just great to see, Oprah and Bruce Springsteen, and De Niro losing their mind. She's better. No, let me tell you, Kamala, she does different accents, depending on where she is, down south. Let me tell you something. You boys better get it together here and vote.
Is Kamala Harris's woke agenda turning off the very voters she hopes to energize? A growing number of Americans seem to think so. According to recent polls, public trust in Harris has steadily declined, especially among moderates and independents, with many citing frustration over her perceived prioritization of identity politics over pressing economic and national security concerns. Across social media, you'll see a common theme emerging: a sense that the Democratic Party, under figures like Harris, has lost touch with everyday Americans. Has the push for equity gone too far? Is the constant focus on race, gender, and social justice distracting from inflation, crime, and border security? These are questions Americans are asking, and Rob Schneider is one of the loudest voices demanding answers. In an era where celebrities often tiptoe around politics, Schneider isn't holding back. His criticism of Harris and the progressive left has gone viral, sparking both backlash and support. But what's driving this former SNL star to step into the political arena with such intensity? And why are so many people listening?
She's a Marxist. She says things like this: equity. She says, okay, how much of your hard work and your money that you earned is somebody else's fair share? Your money, you keep it. The inflation, the 26% inflation that the Biden-Harris administration caused is theft.
Rob Schneider may be best known for his comedic roles in films like Deuce Bigalow and The Hot Chick, but in recent years, he's pivoted into the realm of political commentary. Once a registered Democrat, Schneider's break from the party was public and unapologetic. Now an outspoken conservative, he's using his platform to critique what he sees as the destructive influence of woke ideology in American politics. Schneider has set his sights on Vice President Kamala Harris, whom he's called a Marxist in live appearances and interviews.
Talks like Christopher Walken, because Christopher Walken, you never know when he's going to keep talking or stop. And you have Kamala has the same way. To be unburdened, depending on what accent she wants to use, to be unburdened by what has been. And I think she's she either thinketh too much or can't think at all. And I think that's it's somewhere in between. But don't make the mistake that she's a dummy. I think she's a Marxist, and I think we have to really call it what it is.
This label, while controversial, captures the essence of Schneider's argument that Harris and her allies are pushing an agenda that prioritizes government control, suppresses free speech, and replaces meritocracy with identity-driven politics. These aren't just throwaway lines for him. They're part of a broader ideological battle. His critiques have gained traction not just because of their sharpness, but because they tap into widespread discontent. Many Americans, even those on the left, have expressed discomfort with the tone and direction of the progressive movement. Schneider's rise as a cultural critic speaks to this moment in history where entertainment, politics, and public frustration are colliding like never before.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
At the heart of Rob Schneider's argument is a concern that Kamala Harris and the so-called woke Democrats are redefining America in ways that alienate the average citizen. Whether it's her focus on equity over equality or her frequent use of divisive rhetoric around race and gender, Harris is seen by critics like Schneider as a symbol of elitist progressivism disconnected from kitchen table issues. Public backlash isn't coming just from the right. Polls show that even some Democratic voters are weary of the progressive push. A 2024 Gallup poll revealed that only 36% of independents felt Kamala Harris represented their values, down from 48% in 2021. For voters concerned about inflation, crime, or border policy, the Democratic leadership's obsession with pronouns and symbolic virtue signaling feels like a misfire. Schneider argues that what's being sold as progress is actually regression, a return to tribalism, censorship, and ideological conformity. He points to canceled comedians, restricted speech on college campuses, and tech censorship as symptoms of a system where people like Harris aren't just advocating ideas, they're enforcing dogma. Schneider's critiques aren't coming from nowhere. They're backed by specific moments and policies. One of the most cited examples is Harris's infamous Equity Explainer video, where she said equal treatment wasn't enough and that government must ensure equal outcomes.
So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests, oh, everyone should get the same amount. The problem with that, not everybody's starting out from the same place. So if we're all getting the same amount, but you started out back there and I started out over here, we can get the same amount, but you're still gonna be that far back behind me. It's about giving people the resources and the support they need so that everyone can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same foot.
For Schneider and many others, this sounds like the core tenet of socialism, a system where the state determines winners and losers. In live interviews and appearances, Schneider has asked blunt questions. Why should race or gender determine opportunity? Why are parents being silenced at school board meetings? Why is free speech now seen as dangerous? He argues that the current administration, with Harris at the helm, is promoting a culture of fear and self-censorship, where disagreement is labeled hate and dissenters are demonized. Not content with just calling out the problem, Schneider has proposed an alternative. Earlier this year, he approached LA Times owner Patrick Soon-Shiong to pitch a conservative version of The View, a talk show featuring women who represent real America. Alongside actress Cheryl Hines, the show aims to inject balance into a media landscape that many feel is increasingly skewed left. This isn't just entertainment, it's cultural resistance. The turning point came during a televised appearance where Schneider, facing a mixed audience, delivered what many called a mic drop moment. He said, "Kamala Harris is not fighting for the average American. She's fighting to remake America into something unrecognizable." That clip spread across social media like wildfire, trending on X, formerly Twitter, for over 24 hours. The emotional punch wasn't just in the delivery, but in the raw frustration that many viewers shared. People from all backgrounds chimed in online, saying they finally felt like someone in Hollywood gets it. This wasn't a right-wing echo chamber. This was a comedian voicing what millions feel but are afraid to say. That moment marked Schneider's transition from fringe critic to central figure in the culture war. He wasn't just roasting Kamala for laughs, he was articulating a sense of cultural betrayal. And people were listening. For better or worse, he had become a legitimate force in political discourse. Rob Schneider's journey from sketch comedy to scathing political critique is more than a quirky career turn. It's a reflection of a broader cultural shift. In an era where institutions seem increasingly aligned with one political vision, dissenting voices like his are breaking through the noise, challenging the narratives, and offering alternative viewpoints. His criticism of Kamala Harris isn't just personal, it's political, cultural, and deeply ideological. Whether you agree or not, his arguments demand engagement. They force us to ask, are we building a society based on freedom and merit, or on enforced conformity and identity group division? As Harris continues to shape the Democratic Party's direction and potentially prepares for a 2028 presidential run, the stakes of this debate will only grow. Schneider may be an unlikely voice in this battle, but he's become one nonetheless. And judging by the public reaction, he's not alone. What do you think? Is Rob Schneider onto something, or is he just another celebrity chasing clout? Has Kamala Harris's leadership helped or hurt the country? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and join the conversation. If you're enjoying this kind of bold, unfiltered political analysis, be sure to check out our other videos where we tackle today's biggest controversies head on. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a moment of the real story. And remember, don't just watch the news, challenge it.